at St. Paul, I still remember them as a little church. I used to go to daycare, but then we did sewing and all. It was a place for old folks to go to be entertained instead of staying at home. St. Paul was the first public place we had to go. And I appreciate that today. And I still remember the good times I had up there. A lot of the women didn't know how to sew, and I taught them how to sew. We just had a lovely time at St. Paul. Reverend Loud was the pastor there then, and he was so dedicated to his church. And it made the people that visit there or go there feel welcome, because Reverend Loud was a welcoming pastor. He lived across the street on my street of Hibernia. Reverend Loud lived across the street. And we just all had a neighborhood community. It was a family life. Whatever went wrong, everybody wanted to see Reverend Loud. We thought he could fix things.
Thank you.
Well, let's see. Ms. Mays, I believe I've been told that your father joined St. Paul United Methodist Church in 1919.
Yes.
And I was told that you started attending in 40, so you must have been an infant.
Yes.
Well, I'm not taking inventory here. What was it like to grow up at St. Paul's?
It was wonderful. It was just like a second family, second home. Everyone took care of everybody else. And children have always been very important at St. Paul. So the children and youth got special attention at all times. We were privileged to travel to Fort Worth and Austin and various places, whereas otherwise we might not have been able to do because of the era in which it was and our parents not being able to afford those kinds of things. So the church provided that for us where we were able to do those kinds of things.
So it was a large congregation.
Yes, at that time it was, yes.
What was the state of the building, of the facility?
It was well kept. The people cherished the building. They made sure that everything was always intact, and we didn't have the nice janitorial services and all of that, so we had members of our congregation who were employed as custodial people, and so they were the ones who kept the church up, the grounds around it, because at that time we had plenty of ground area, where not just the cement. So they the parking lots and all of that. So they made sure that that the church was kept up.
What kind of outreach programs did they have, ministries?
During my early years,
Well,
those
that you remember.
Let's see. We did a lot of helping the homeless, even during that time, those that were disadvantaged. We also continued with youth programs, outside youth programs that had nothing to do with the church. We would bring people in, children in, and during the summer and have programs for them. We would also have musicals and other kinds of events that would draw people, the community in, because everything was community centered during the early years.
Well, how is it different today?
Well, today we basically have no community per se. We have our high rises and all of that. But what we're trying to do now is to reach out to the people that are in this area, who live in this area. So we're providing Tuesday night jazz. We have a noon prayer time, a noon Bible study. We have the Body and Soul Homeless Ministry. So those kinds of things are what we're trying to do to involve ourselves and let the people know that we're here. And so we want them to feel as if they can be a part of this church. Because it's just not just the church itself, but we want to be able to do outreach to others.
Well, now, it's recently been really wonderfully restored.
Correct.
Could you tell us about that?
We did a major renovation and added offices, conference rooms on the 3rd level. We revitalized the sanctuary, added new heating and air system. We have an elevator for those who were born in the 40s. We needed that. And the 30s. So it was really an extensive renovation, and we had to move out for quite a number of months and returned to a beautiful edifice.
I don't know how many of you know, but originally the church was built with only 3 towers. And Pastor Odom now claims that that was on purpose. God intended that because during the renovation they were able to come in and put on the 4th tower, add an elevator, and come up to code. So it was all part of the plan. Dr. Prince, back to you.
Sure.
The Moreland YMCA, this building opened the year you were born. Am I correct in assuming that you would have spent a lot of your youth in this building?
I spent most of my youth, and this was a wonderful place. It was a divine oasis in an urban desert. This was our area here, what we call North Dallas, was really an asphalt jungle. So this was a place of peace, a place to learn and for recreation, and it embodied its motto, the triangle: body, mind, and spirit. Our bodies were developed right above here where the gymnasium was. We played basketball. We tumbled. And below here was a swimming pool where we learned to swim. And most of us were encouraged to get our lifeguard credentials. Right where we sit now, right where that table is, was a pool table. And we took turns. We learned how to get along because we took our turn at shooting pool, playing ping pong, and just about where that door is was a dark room. And that's where I became, my hobby is photography. And I learned to develop, I learned photography here. My father was on the other side, so I had to behave. My father, there was a sliding door there that separated the men's portion from the boys' portion. And the men played, had the pool tables over there. Now, the biggest part, one of the greatest things that happened to me was to see black men who were successful, other than the gamblers, policy men, the numbers men that I idolized. But I also saw the doctors and the ministers, the philosophers, I saw Thurgood Marshall right over there. And I had a chance, my father took me over and I, with Maceo Smith and Thurgood Marshall, I had a chance to shake this man's hand. I met Satchel Paige and Joe Louis. Joe Louis came here and he had a bout and he knocked out a guy. But the Harlem Globetrotters would stay here. So we would get, word would spread around the neighborhood and we would all gather here to see these celebrities. This was a wonderful place. And it kept us, it really kept us off the streets. I remember going to, when I started matriculating in college, the man asked me which high school I went to, and I told him I went to Booker T. Washington. And he said, well, what did you take in high school? I said, I took some Latin, some math, a few hubcaps. Yeah, we all got around, but this was a wonderful place. And I'm so happy to see it now. And now with this urban metamorphosis, this was by, nostalgia, you think about, you remember the good things, but this was a rundown neighborhood. And to see the urban metamorphosis, I'm happy when I look westward and I see the performing places, the structures of glass and steel and cascading pools. And yet, I see a tie. And there, I know that there are souls that are still here. When I see St. Paul Church and Moreland Y and Griggs Park and Booker T. Washington, to me it is like 4 tangential circles that there is a communication. And let me tell all of you here that people, not unlike me, once lived here and thrived in a city within a city. We produced, we had our own businesses, and we thrive. I'm happy to see what is happening here, but let it be known that we were here. Thank you.